Welcome, everybody. All right, today we're talking about why manners matter. Manners are really an amazing thing because the main thing that gets people to rage is what they perceive as disrespect. Now, the other thing is fear, but disrespect is the primary reason that people are irritable, angry, and rage. And that is because their bandwidth for disrespect is either very narrow, meaning that if they consider a lot of things that are disrespectful, or it's very broad, where they decide that I'm just not going to get upset about these things. I'm not going to take them as disrespect. I'm going to accept the fact that you have a different point of view, and I'm not going to allow myself to get all broadly upset and turn it into a Broadway production. Rudeness, as in France, was reported as the chief cause of stress. Over 60% of French people in a study over 5 years ago said that basically, with double digit unemployment, debt crisis, it stresses them out. And the behavior of other people under those conditions of their poor economy stressed each other out, and having their trash not picked up and having people, go on strike and affect the public services and not respect other people. They took that as a very strong sense of anger. Elevated rudeness is an art form. And what it really does is you can discover how easily other people can be triggered by how rude you are to them. So people that have poor manners oftentimes are testing other people to see just how much you can tolerate. It's kind of like a dog with a squeaky toy. If you get a dog with a squeaky toys, the dog wants to show how powerful they are, much like a bully at school. So basically, they're going to chew on the squeaky toy to prove how powerful they are. The squeaky toy is the respondent. The respondent is the person and seeing how they react. So if you get somebody that reacts like they run away or they get upset or they start yelling or they start crying, that is a squeaky toy. People that react, people that get angry easily are squeaky toys, and it's really easy to get them upset. And it is wonderful because it's a great distraction from your own mental health problems by making everybody else respond to you. So, rude people often have a lot of mental health problems because they love to ignite everybody else so they don't look crazy. Doesn't that sound like narcissism and a borderline personality to you? Well, it is. Humans are highly social creatures, and whatever we subtly modify our behavior to fit in with other people. But rudeness signals that one is not welcome in the group. They activate pain regions in the brain, and basically they show that others don't trust us. And trust is a huge component of our human nature. You can love someone and not trust them. But if you trust someone, the love will always grow. Trust is the binder of the book for all relationships. People that are rude have no real sense of respect for trust. They don't have a lot of integrity. They don't have the stickiness for people to want to be a part of their life because they are rude. They love to test people. They love to see how much they can agitate people. They love to see how they can accumulate power by making people look more vulnerable than they need to be by pressing their buttons. And therefore, they escalate their own self-image by making everyone else ignite. Good manners, on the other hand, is a reflection of a golden rule. If you're nice to me, I'll be nice to you. And one of the things that's missing in our culture today is good manners. I remember a time as a child where my mother would never get out of the car door unless I opened it. So I'd get out of the car and run around and I'd go do whatever. And I'd look over and my mother would be sitting in the car and I'd be like, okay, Mom, why aren't you coming? And she wasn't coming because my job was to open her door. Why would I open my mother's door? Well, it's called manners. And guess what? It teaches you to understand that you're not just responsible for yourself. As a matter of fact, a purpose driven life, if you're going to have one, is never about you. It's how you treat other people. So if you're going to be a turd and you're going to be rude and you're going to not have manners, there's a good chance you're going to end up alone or miserable in your later years of life, because nobody's going to want to be around you and put up with your bullshit and your stinky, bad breath and your unkempt self and your old age and all your complaints and all your inability to walk and all your drinking and all your stupid bad jokes. They're not going to want to put up with all that crap because you don't have manners. You don't have integrity. You don't have respect for other people. Not even your spouse is going to want to be around you. Good manners means that you know how to respect other people. Good manners means you are a resilient person. Good manners means that you are a person who has learned to manage your emotional climate. Good manners means that you are a person who is fairly self-disciplined. It doesn't mean that you're always self-disciplined. It doesn't mean you could have tattoos all over your head and your body and actually be able to open a door for another person. So there are some people that are complete reprobates of our society that actually learn the value of good manners. You can have good manners, but what you want to have it is all the way through and through your character. An extraordinary triumph of the human species is our ability to extract value from all kinds of relationships with all kinds of people. When you have manners, you are recognizing that other people are valuable. You are recognizing that other people need to be treated well. You are recognizing the fact that other people are just as important as you are, if not more important. That is a very important thing in our society, and it sends a very strong signal that we have respect for each other. When people have respect for each other, we have a much broader threshold of doing good things for each other. We have a much better groundwork of what it's going to take to have a good relationship because we are treating each other with respect. Rude people don't receive respect very well. Rude people are self-centered. Rude people have a tendency to assume that everybody's going to hurt them. And if you're going to be nice to me at the church and open the door and say, welcome, good morning, that is going to set me up to think that you're going to try to be a nice person to me later on. And I know you're not going to be because you're self-centered. So rude people are hurt. They suffer. They've had a lot of suffering in their life. And what they're exhibiting is how much they have suffered. And how really what they're really saying is, I need someone to love me. That's what rude people are about. But people with manners are demonstrating that they actually are outside of themselves and actually take the high road, knowing that their survival has to do with relationships. Relationships are what make life important. And that's something that we all have to learn about each other. There's a very, broadening network of a social network makes people much stronger. The more broader that we have of a social network, the more we are learning about our life, the more we are adding value to our life. So, for instance, if you were to be a person that created a party every month in your home, and that anybody could be invited to your party for a certain amount of hours, and if they're starting with your relatives, and then your relatives invite other people, and then other people, now your neighbors start coming, and now they start inviting their guests. Now what you have is a network, and what happens is, as that network builds, you might run across people that want to take you on their yacht to Japan, or take you on a trip to Europe where you go hiking. All of a sudden your life may get outside of the little box that you've designed for yourself because you actually care about other people. That takes manners. Being a person to invite other people into your life is manners, is respect for other people. And the more you have that, the greater life you're going to have. The next time someone's rude to you, it's not a bad day. It's a bad thing to say, I'm sorry you're having a bad day. I'm sorry you think of me that way. I'm sorry you feel that way. It's sad that you have to communicate like that. I can see how you see me like that. I don't know what made me communicate that way to you. I'm very sorry you've come across that way. That's called empathy. Compassion. Compassion is the deepest part of love. And that's what we owe each other. Etiquette is ethics and protocol. It's principles. It's rules of behavior. And these rules, the things that the forks and the spoons that sit on a certain place, a certain setting, the stuff that makes etiquette a bad name is when we shove etiquette down people's throat. But the idea is teaching children how to respect other people is a very, very important component. Teaching them how to listen, how to call a person sir or ma'am out of respect, how to care about how are you feeling is a very important thing to teach children. We are missing that because we have been dirtbags raising our kids in this generation and the generations before us. Ever since the 60s, we have had terrible manners, terrible respect for humans, and raised terrible human beings. Therefore, we're living in an age of terrible human beings. There was a thing called Miss Manners. I don't know if anybody ever remembers but that was about dignity. And would it kill you to stop having dignity and etiquette, respecting other people? Contrary to popular opinion, manners are not a luxury good. It's the essence of good manners does not cost you money. The essence of good manners calls for you to care about other people. Practicing good manners, comes from your self esteem. It demonstrates that you have a good self esteem because you can afford to take the time to love others for who they are. There's a whole idea that manners aren't a rigid set of rules. Manners are a set of principles to live by: caring, consideration, community. The South of the United States is touted as a place of great hospitality. You know, there was a lot of bad things that came out of the South, like the KKK, but we can all agree that Southern charm, Southern etiquette, and best of all, Southern aristocracy taught people how to respect each other, how to care about each other. And there's something to say in that. It doesn't mean we have to go back to classism and treating people like they're less than us. But what it does mean is we need to learn how to respect each other better. And we need to how to teach our children how to do that better. You know, it's really incredible. But there's a lot of optimism in societies where people care about each other and treat each other with respect. In the trend of our modern society, we are seeing that people don't open doors for each other. People don't apologize. People don't care. People don't apologize for how they're perceived. People don't apologize for how someone may be angry at them just because they don't agree. People nowadays are so freaking analytical that they don't take any accountability for how they're received emotionally. And you are accountable for how you received emotionally. You may not like how you're seen emotionally, but you need to learn how to manage your emotions and how you're perceived emotionally. That's a very important component. We have to consider our horrid, impolite, national, political environment. We are in a world of horrible media where our media is just disgusting. It is disgusting because it has no manners. It presumes the worst about everything. It catastrophizes everything. It turns everything into a Broadway production that isn't. And it's gone so far removed from common sense and just the common idea of caring about other people. It's just rude. And we begin to think that's okay. Social media is just rude. It's invasive and it's horrible in how it disrespects human beings. And yet we embrace all that. And the more we're going to embrace it, the more disgusting we're going to become. All right, we're going to take a quick break and we're going to come right back. Welcome back, everybody. We're talking about manners and why manners are important. Clarence Thomas, he's an associate justice in the Supreme Court. I think he's been so since I don't know, like 1991. He's been there for a long time. And he said something that's really important. Good manners will open doors that the best education cannot. All things being equal in terms of skills and ability, the person who leaves a good, positive impression will always come out on top in the end. Good manners are critical if you want to move up in your career, if you want to move up in your ability to influence other people, if you want to move through life in a fairly more hospitable way, in a more peaceful way. It's giving respect and having gratitude for other people that will get you through well. People that are rude and people that have to just say what they have to say and drop a turd on your front porch are going to be the people that are last. That's the way it's going to be. That's the way human culture is. That's the way we all rank people as human beings, is how much respect do you have? And if you have none, like the Democratic Party and all the advocates and psychos that are now take charge of it, these people are going to be last. But the sad news is that half of our country in the United States embrace that because that's how they were raised. No respect. The drawback that has your good manners is sincere. The drawback is sometimes you have to go second. Sometimes you're going to be perceived negatively because you choose not to engage in other people's behavior. Sometimes you have to turn the other cheek. Manners are not just something that a parent thought were important, but there's something about our society that requires us to have manners. And manners come with your money. Great manners come with how you treat others. What kind of a parent are you? What kind of a spouse are you? These are very important ingredients to a human character. If you want to have integrity in your life, you're going to have to learn to respect other people. That is the one thing that is lacking in our society today. Going back to the small circle that we have of people in our life, the essence of good manners is even more prominent. If you're a person of good manners, people are going to want to migrate to you. And that's a very important thing for you to have. When you are a person of good manners, you are saying the most basic thing that all people look to in another person is that you are safe. You are respectable about other people. That makes you safe. When you consider and have compassion for other people, you have good manners. Those kind of people are going to make it through the long run of life. They may not make it through the short interactions, but they will make it on the long run and they will be resilient. Human relationships, scientifically emphasize that people are more likely to remember bad behaviors than the kind acts that we contribute. But the truth is, if you are consistently a person of good manners, you will have a better chance to be remembered well. We go into our relationships, we go into life having emotional impressions made by different people, made by different events, made by different locations. And what we do is we filter those events, those people, those places through our emotional experiences. And then we gather facts and interactions that reinforce our negative story about that place, about that person, about that thing. And we write a novel about them. And we live in the novel as if we know everything we're saying is right. But that novel is only a novel. It is not the other place, the other person. And what we really have to learn is people with good manners ignore the novel they have written about their spouse, about their children, about their friends, about their job, about their boss, about the government, about the president, about the life, about another country, about another city. And they drop the narrative and they actually give it respect. And if you can do that, you can have relationships in life. The world thrives on negotiations. And how, as that exchange goes, depends on the negotiator, their manners, their intelligence, their social capital. And the person's social capital is an accumulation of kind deeds that one does for other people. And what we need to understand is we also have to have boundaries if we're going to have manners. And that means, what I can do is this, what I can't do is that. What I can tolerate is this, what I can't tolerate is that. So if you're going to treat me like crap when you're over here and then you're going to talk to me like you're my friend over here, I'm not going to like that. You're going to have good manners on both sides. And that means that if you don't like me, tell me you don't like me in my face. Tell me what you don't like about me in my face. Don't go do it to everybody else. That's called good manners. But we live in a culture where everybody talks out of 5 sides of their mouth, especially on social media. And then if somebody interprets, God forbid, what you have to say or what you've said or how you've impressed other people, and you don't like how they interpret it, you're going to correct everybody else as if you have the truth. They're entitled to have their impression of you. You need to allow it. That's called manners. Now, narcissism. Some people often wondering what the best way to accomplish their goals without caring so much about another person, because they think that would be easier to turn on the charm towards other people, but ultimately it's because they hope to achieve some kind of personal goals. That's what narcissists do. They're charming to use you. They're always charming to use you. So they're charming up front and then they're shitty on the back. That's what narcissists are. And you're always responsible for everything that they don't like. You're always responsible for everything that they've done that you don't like. You're mad at me because I said this to you. You don't like me, it's your fault you treated me like this. This is why I said what I said to you. That's how narcissists are. They're just jerks. And our culture has raised a ton of narcissists, and now they're running the world with nuclear weapons. Then control. Inauthentic people judge others by way of gaining control. Oh, you're just this. Oh, you're just that. Oh, they're this. Oh, they're that. They love to label. Democratic Party loves to label people. They love to just label the hell out of everybody as if that's all they are, because they're idiots and they have no culture and they have no manners, and they embrace all of that because they think they know everything and they know nothing. They're idiots. There's also insecurity. Sometimes people should not jump to negative conclusions. Not everyone who's extremely kind has ulterior motives. Take an insecure person, for example. They may not feel confident asking for a favor, but they may ask by regularly demonstrating nice words and behaviors. So, insecure people also are very dangerous because, they use their negative conclusions to manipulate. They use guilt and shame because they don't feel like they have the power and the influence over you, rightly so, because they have no respect for themselves. So how can they have respect for you? So they use guilt and shame to make you do things. What is clear is manners really do matter for personal gain or simply for a better world. Both. You can actually have personal gain and a better world if we have better manners towards each other. We need to actually teach it in school. There's some basic things that people have to learn in school that they never learn. Number one, how to get married, how to be married. Number two, how to raise children. Number three, manners. We need to be teaching that in school because parents don't know what the hell they're doing. Manners are little things that make us a very delectable person. If you enjoy being around someone who displays good manners, do you not resent it when someone is rude to you? The golden rule says, do unto others as you would have them do to you. That means don't take somebody being rude as permission for you to be rude back. Try to be nice. Try to be respectful. Besides, there's plenty of reasons and benefits why you should be well-mannered. For example, if you're looking for a job, how do you make a first good impression with your prospective employers? You would ensure that you're punctual, polite, well-groomed, display common courtesy. Do you want to start dating? Guys find being considerate to others quite attractive. So do women. Women find a guy with good manners to be attractive. You could be uglier and, tits on, an old ugly person, but if you have good manners, you have some charm. There is some attractiveness to you. While being beautiful rates high when you're dating, your looks will not be the only thing the potential mates will remember. They're going to remember how you treat them. That's a very important component. How we treat each other is our ranking amongst each other. Beauty is the beginning, but you can lose your status amongst people by being rude and beautiful. If you have manners and you are beautiful, you're going to be a very influential human being. If you have manners, you're going to be a very influential human being. Books on the rules of etiquettes are useful, but they're better trained in person with another person. Training people to have etiquette is a critical component of raising children, having employees, teaching employees how to treat other people. Disney University, which is not effective anymore, used to teach Disney employees how to reside as the happiest place on earth. They're not a very happiest place on earth culture, but that was the basis of the university, is to teach people how to have manners, because by having manners, people wanted to come back to their park. That's called customer service. Good mannered people, understand that you have to look beyond the negative parts of other people. There's a lot of people that are lazy and rude. It's really easy to be rude. It's really easy to be selfish, but you're also very sloppy and you're also very lazy. If you're rude and if you're selfish, you are lazy and you're not a person that is going to attract other people. Yes, you may have sex with people and you may do all that and you may breed and raise children, but that is not going to make you a great person. If you want to be a great person, you have to respect other people. It'd be wonderful if everyone understood the principles of faith, of religious beliefs, of orientations. Good manners are showing respect and consideration for other people. Manners may be considered a component of your personality since they represent your ideals and your attitude towards other people. Personal attributes like empathy and the capacity to communicate effectively influences how you behave and interact with other people. Empathy is a very powerful tool, but now that we're in the age of autism spectrum as a growing problem in our culture, it's really hard to get empathy. There's about 33 to 40% of our population that actually lack the capacity to have empathy. Once again, we're in the nuclear age where we can all blow each other off the planet, and that's probably going to be likely to happen if we continue down this narcissistic path. It's also critical to remember that external variables like cultural standards and upbringing can impact your manners. Some people are born with good manners, owning their personality features, while others develop that via education and practice. And I would suggest that most people are not born with manners. You just may have a kinder personality type that takes to having manners much more easily. Setting goals like areas that need improvement in your manners is very important. Make the effort to track your progress. Reflect on how your manners have been received by other people. Talk and track how your interactions have improved with other people by having good manners. Good manners tell a lot about the kind of family you grew up in, the type of people that you come from, the type of background that you are, the kind of conscientious that you have for your quality of work, for your grades, for your capacity to learn. Good manners mean you are a person that is not on this planet to exist in your own vacuum. You are a person that recognizes the value of relationships. Certain parents spoil their children and let them do as they please, and as a result, there's an increase of unsocial behavior. So if you're going to have your kid on a video game killing other kids, there's a good chance they're not going to have good manners, a lack of standards, lack of expectations at home, to do chores, to have an allowance, to have behavior contracts of no, if you're going to treat me like that, you're going to either apologize or lose this thing for a day. You know, if we actually implemented that as parents, we would teach kids how to be much better people. But instead, parents are so immature that they just want to be their kid's best friend. Your job as a parent is to look at the checkout time of when your kid becomes 18 and to teach them how to be adult before they're 18. That's your job. All the other best friend bullcrap is out the door. You're supposed to give them life skills so they can go out there and make a living and have a life and learn how to treat other people so they can do well in their life and get an education so they can function and survive as a human being. That's your job. It's not to be their best friend. But a bunch of idiots raise their kids as if they have to be their best, especially single parents. Single parents feel guilt and shame because they're so crappy as individuals they couldn't keep their marriage, or they have such bad taste that they married a narcissist, and then they breed with them and create all these kids, but then they become single, they go out in their life and they can't teach their kids manners because they're just trying to survive. It kind of sucks. It kind of sucks that we have 50% of the people out there that get married, that have children, are not parents, they're breeding stock. And that's the sad truth, is that there's tons of breeding stock. And if you have one good parent that actually cares about raising you and teaching you how to be an adult and how to survive in this life, you are very fortunate. And all parents are on a spectrum of what a parent really is, because many of them are too caught up in their own crap to actually do the job these days. Everybody is overwhelmed because everybody has too many options and everybody has too many distractions. We need to get focused on relationships if we're going to survive as a culture. Certain parents, spoiling their kids and not teaching them how to respect other children, are not teaching their kids how to survive. They're teaching their kids how to live at home for the rest of their life. If you don't teach your kids how to survive, your kid is going to be living off your retirement, not you. You are going to cut your retirement down in half, in a fourth, into nothing, because you're still raising the 40-year-old idiot that can't even get married because they have no manners and all they care about is themselves, and they're living in a video game and living in whatever they can to avoid actually taking accountability for their human life. The amount of road rage that's out there is amazing, and we have to look at that. All right, we're going to take another break and we're going to come right back. Welcome back, everybody. All right, we're talking about why manners matter. Well, what's the difference between good manners and etiquette? You can tell the difference between excellent manners and etiquette. The fundamental concepts of basic respect, compassion, and kindness towards others is good manners. It's a universal concept that may be applied to any scenario or any society. Good manners is like saying please and thank you, being on time, expressing concern for other people. On the other hand, etiquette refers to the unique norms and conventions that apply to different social circumstances, cultural standards, socioeconomic status. the occasional events that influence our etiquette, like Thanksgiving and Christmas. Etiquette may be defined by knowing how to use the proper utensils at a formal meal or dress appropriately for a job interview. The importance for manners in mental health is huge because it teaches respect and regard for other people. And the more you understand respect and regard for other people, the more mentally balanced you're going to be. If you want to boost your self esteem, when you have good manners, you feel better about yourself. You feel more confident. You feel capable of making great connections with other people. And the boost in self esteem may positively impact your mental health and overall well being. If you want to reduce your stress when interacting with others, employing excellent manners will help reduce your stress levels. By treating people with respect and compassion, you avoid arguments and misunderstandings, resulting in less stress and anxiety. If you want to improve your overall well being, there's a whole bunch of studies that have found that a correlation between excellent manners and good mental health. The research has discovered that practicing thankfulness, a good kind of manners, is linked to enhanced well being, improving more pleasant emotions, lower sadness. There's another study, it's actually in the Journal of International Journal of Psychology, discovered that good manners such as empathy and compassion result in enhanced social support and life happiness. So good manners also lead to more social interactions and more support. And that promotes mental health. So when we use good techniques, we make a favorable impression on other people. It leads to social bonds and more significant support. And that's vital when having a supportive network is essential during stress and anxiety. Active listening is good manners. Okay, so what you're telling me is this. So what you're saying, because you have to remember the listener is the one in charge of the conversation because they are working to hear you. That's good manners. Gratitude. When you express gratitude, you show appreciation for the effort people are making towards you or others. And you may improve your personal well being by concentrating on the good and encouraging a sense of optimism and thankfulness. And then there's empathy, and it's the capacity to understand and share the experiences of another person. It's not sympathy. Sympathy means you're just sitting around whining about it. It's like, oh wow, that must have been really tough on you. I can imagine. Have you ever thought about this? I might be able to help you with that. That's called empathy. Focusing on the person you're conversing with is good manners. When you're talking with someone, offer them your undivided attention. Avoid distractions like your phone or the things that divert your attentions from talking. You also want to express gratitude for others' efforts. Take the time to recognize their hard work and their efforts. Even the minor things, even if it's just to help themselves. Their sense of sacrifice, their sense of focus. This is very important if you're going to have relationships in this life. You have to also be able to put yourself in the shoes of other people. When interacting with people, try to see things from their point of view. This can foster empathy and understanding and increases your connection and the support. Also, overcoming challenges to display good manners. Good manners can be challenging to demonstrate when everybody else is negative. But you can lead the way if you can be the one who holds the bar of what good manners are all about. If you're doing that, you're teaching people that they're capable of being better people. If you're having some really difficult times trying to reach down for good manners, you want to take a deep breath. If you're anxious or overwhelmed, it might be beneficial to take a deep breath, drink some water. That can assist in recentering yourselves. If you're going to be a reactive person, your life is not in your hands. If you're going to be a responsive person, your life is in your hands. If you have concentration on good intentions, because intentions are the land of forgiveness. If you have bad intentions, there's a really good chance that you're not a great person to be forgiven. If you had good intentions with bad outcomes, now that's a whole different ballgame. Now, a lot of people forgive themselves because, oh, I had good intentions, blah, 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 blah. But if another person thinks you had bad intentions, they do. And so you have to say, hey, I know you don't forgive me. I know you think I did all this. My intention was not to hurt you. You know, my intention was selfish. My intention was stupid. My intention wasn't very thought through. My intention didn't have integrity. My intention was not the moment I'm very proud of. If you're wanting someone to forgive you, you also have to offer the idea of, I need you to have faith in me. I don't expect you to trust me. I don't think you're ever going to trust me. But if you can have faith in me, maybe we can have some healing in the relationship. The other thing is to, if you want to have good manners, use humor, but the humor needs to be about you, not other people. If you're uncomfortable in some situations, demonstrate good intentions towards them. Show that critical humor utilizes correctly and considers other people's feelings. This is important. You also want to seek aid. When you're confronting difficult conditions, it can be beneficial to reach out to other people that may be going through what you're about to go through or what you're currently going through because you want to get through it with integrity and with good manners. And if you have other people that you know have had good integrity and good manners and they've resolved situations that are horrible like the one you're in, that may be the way to go. Please and thank you goes a long way. Many people do not say please and thank you. Many people do not say, I love you, or have I told you I love you? I want you to know that I love you. You know, if we did more of that, we would be such better people. There are kids that go through their entire childhood without their idiot parents ever even giving a peep of saying I love you to their children. It's disgusting. They bred and created these kids. Well, they know I love them. You want an egotistical piece of crap. Tell your kids you love them, for God's sake. That's where manners begin. But people don't do that because they're ego and they're idiots and they were raised poorly. Respecting personal space. When you respect personal space, you're aware of and appreciate physical limits of people. This involves not standing too near someone, not touching them without their consent, not invading their personal space. There is a thing called mirroring. And this is a huge thing that a lot of people, especially narcissists, have a lot of trouble with. Mirroring means I'm going to borrow your energy to communicate with you, and I'm going to talk to you more at your pace or a pace that you're familiar with so that we can have a good relationship. And when I slow down and meet you at your rhythm of life and your rhythm of speaking and your energy, we're going to have a much more connected relationship. But if I'm going to operate at my energy and you're going to operate at your energy and we're going to communicate that way, there's a good chance that we're not going to connect very well. If you want to build great relationships, being polite makes a good impression on other people. It aids our ability to do that. Good manners demonstrate our regard for other people. And if you really want to enhance your communication, encourage polite conversation and active listening. And I'm not talking about how's your day crap. I'm talking about what are you feeling? How are you feeling about this? What's going on with this? I can see that you're very challenged today. I can see you're stressed out. What's going on? How can I help you? Manners make so much of a matter in defining a person. It's huge in how it defines people. Your manners reflect your ideals and your attitude towards people, which may help you define yourself. So your actions and interactions with other people affect how others will view you and remember you in the long run. They also indicate your principles. Your actions toward others demonstrate the ideals you uphold. If you appreciate others with respect and thoughtfulness and empathy, where you act politely, you strengthen your relationships and you make a good impression. And if you want manners to happen, start treating your children and your spouse with manners. Treat them with manners. Teach them manners. It starts with you, not with them. You have to mold your reputation, and how you act and how you interact with people might set your reputation in their eyes. When you work politely, people are more likely to remember and appreciate you favorably. When you act like a jerk and think you're right about everything and you treat people like crap, you're probably not going to be a great person, and you probably are rude, and you'll probably die alone. You're demonstrating your personality happens with your manners. They reflect your personality. They reflect your person impression. They reflect your background. They reflect on your family's reputation. How you conduct yourself teaches a whole lot about your family's history. And in the end, manners are essentially in identifying a person because they represent our ideals, define our reputation, influence our personal and professional success, and they reflect our character. And we may also make a pleasant impression on people by achieving success by having our personal life demonstrate good manners. You know, and are good manners different across cultures? Yes. What constitutes good manners may vary significantly across different cultures. And educating yourself about a cultural norm and etiquette when interacting with people from different cultures is crucial to show respect and avoid unintentional offense. For instance, people that are very American, conflict driven, rude people, if you ship them off to an Asian country or ship them off to Japan where they don't like conflict done rudely, an American is going to look like a barbarian. And they are a barbarian in their culture because they have no control of their emotions and they have no manners. Manners reflect a culture that cares about other people. Now, caring about other people doesn't mean it's all kumbaya and go to Harvard and watch them protest the killing Jews instead of how in support of the Hamas and all that crap. No, it's human respect. And when a culture embraces human respect, it has boundaries. And that is a first world culture. Manners are sometimes seen as old fashioned. And they're old fashioned because societal norms and expectations change. However, the core principles of respect and consideration for others is inherent in good manners. That is what you have to think about, caring about other people's well being. Other people come before me. I need to consider other people in the room. I need to consider how I impact other people and how what I do I may not have intended to hurt them, can hurt them. I have to be more aware of that. That's called manners. That's called relationships. That's how your legacy of your life will be determined based on how good a manners you have and how well you treat other people. The term manners can mean many different things to different people. But if you teach your children manners, you want them to use them by being very clear and very specific. They may not just pick up on this, they will need to be told exactly what you would like them to do. To let them know who this applies to and in what situations and what settings. You explain the reasons manners matter to you and your family. If there's a cultural elements here, that's a good opportunity to educate your kid about the important aspects of their culture and that you want them to carry that forward. Role models. As parents, the manners you want to see need to be the manners you exhibit. If you use manners in front of your children in public, to your partner, to your kids, this way you practice what you preach, setting a good example for your kids. You remind your children, even if you've taught them manners and role modeled them for your kids, this may still need reminders about what is appropriate for the situation. Remind them before going into a situation to set them up for success ahead of time. Remind them who will be there and what your expectations are. But expectations can be very dangerous and very depressing. So it's better to operate off of preferences. I would prefer you not fart at the table. I would prefer you go to the bathroom. And I expect you to go to the bathroom next time. That's the type of communication that you want to reinforce good manners. If you have an anxious kid, keep in mind that manners and social niceties can actually be very difficult for anxious kids. They may need more practice outside the situation. They need to prepare for reminders, and start slow and work small because they are anxious. All right, that's our show. I want to thank everybody for listening. I love hearing from you. You can do that on our webpage at libsyn.com. Dr. Gary Bell's Absurd Psychology. Now remember, kindness and manners are free. Good manners are a far better virtue than good looks. Also, money cannot buy morals, manners, integrity, and intelligence. And everything you teach others is filtered through your manners. Rudeness is an imitation of strength.